All right, it's just another Manic Monday. We're going to be talking today about best practices for meaningful student experiences. And thank you guys so much for putting up with us being a few days late on this one. Last week was just a hard teacher week.
It
And
really was.
yeah, we both let the week get away from us because we were just so consumed with everything going on with our own classes. So we're coming at you guys with this today. Some best practices for a meaningful student experience.
All right, so let's dive right in. The first thing we want to talk about is KISS. We know you all know this acronym. Keep it simple, sweetie. You might have heard another version of that, but we're trying to keep it PG and clean and nice here. Teaching and learning is already hard enough right now. I mean, teaching is hard in a normal, non-pandemic, not having to do new things year. This year has just 2020 has just taken it up a notch. Don't make things harder than they have to be. Don't make them harder on yourself. Don't make them harder on your students. Don't overcomplicate assignments. Don't overcomplicate your learning management system. Don't overcomplicate your schedule. You don't have to give kids the same amount of work that you would give them if they were sitting in front of you. So just keep it simple, keep it meaningful. Don't just give fluff assignments or busy work. This is not the time for that. And I have seen some busy work, and it worries me because that's not what we need to be doing right now. We need to be giving real, true, meaningful work, standard space that we know we can assess students on. Create a schedule. Jen, do you have a schedule even for your high schoolers?
I do an agenda, but it's not really not. You're okay.
Adeline has a schedule too.
Do you need a schedule?
Yes, she does.
It's not quite the same as elementary. So I try to encourage my students when they're not with me to log in at the same time they would be in my class and do things. And I give my students their assignments weekly to encourage them to learn how to plan things, because that is something that is an important skill for them to learn for high school.
Absolutely.
I know that other classes like their English class and their math classes give them more rigored schedules. So I know that they're getting that skill there, but I'm trying to give them skills to prepare them for college, to learn to make their own schedules to get things done by due dates.
Awesome. I mean, it's just such an important part of, managing this learning process from home. If kids are hybrid, or if they're 100% remote, the people that are taking care of students, especially younger students, also appreciate that schedule, because there is nothing more overwhelming to log into your LMS and see 20 assignments all scheduled for 1 week. And you're like, oh my gosh, because you have kids who are going to be like, I have to get this all done on Monday and Tuesday. And you really didn't design for them to get it done on Monday or Tuesday, but you didn't give them a schedule. If you give them a schedule of assignments and virtual meetings and due dates, it makes life so much simpler. And I'm just going to share. This is what my schedule looks like for the coming week. So this is what pushes out on Sunday night at 5:00 through our LMS. So this pushes out, and then this page too, which is not really as important, but that does have my standards on it. And you can see all of these are hyperlinks. So if the kids click or tap on these links, it takes them directly to the assignment in our learning management system. So that goes out on Sunday at 5:00 so that caregivers, parents, kids can kind of see what's going to happen for the week, make a plan. And then daily at 7 a.m., this is what pushes out. It has our meeting schedule. The kids know which reading group they're in. This is a link. They can tap there, or they can type in the Zoom meeting ID. Again, oh, it was flipped up. Again, there's their, and I do must do, may do. So these are the things, the must do things that you have to get done for the day. And then if you have extra time, you can do may do. You can play on apps, learning apps. So it kind of gives them a little bit of options, but still providing lots of structure. And it's really, I thought it was overkill at first when we first started doing this, but now I see the beauty in it. And as a parent, if I had a young student, this would be exactly what I needed. Here's another version. This is another, like one of my teammates uses this. It's the same setup. It's just a different way that it looks. And you can find these all over Teachers Pay Teachers. You can find them in other places too, not just, I mean, you can make your own. You know, if you're into like cute fonts and templates and everything, you know, Teachers Pay Teachers is your place. All right. Communication. This is a hill that I will die on right here. I am a fan of communicating with parents frequently. And I know it's hard, and the more students that you have, the harder it gets, especially when you're in middle school and high school, when you have multiple classes. I get that that's more complicated because I have been there. But you don't ever want there to be a time when you say, well, I'm sorry, ma'am, your child is going to fail this class. And they go, but you never told me that they weren't doing their work, or you never told me. I'm not a fan of that. When you do those communications, document. However, write it in a notebook, save it in a digital file somehow. Whatever you do, document it. Because if you don't document it, then you might as well have not done it.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed?
Yeah, if you don't write it down, it never happened.
That's right. And there are tons of apps that will allow you to have frequent, easy communication with families without sharing your personal phone number. Class Dojo is the platform that my school uses. I love it. I can set quiet hours on it, and parents can still message me during quiet hours, but it sends them back a message and says, Miss Rouse has quiet hours right now. She may not respond to this message until tomorrow morning, and it holds my notifications until the next morning. Now, if I log into it, I can, you know, during quiet hours, I can see it. Remind. Jen, you want to talk about Remind? Because I know you use it.
Remind's kind of like Twitter, but I like that a parent and student do not have to have a smartphone and able to be in order to be able to get the message, which is really nice. Um, and I can send links and things like that. I can send images if I want to. So that's a really nice feature of Remind.
I have never used Class Tag, but I have seen it marketed as something similar to Class Dojo. But again, I've never explored it, but I know it's out there. Google Voice. Oh my stars. I adore Google
Me
Voice.
too.
You can text parents, you can call parents, and it hides your phone number. The hardest part for me is just remembering what my Google Voice phone number is.
I actually have it saved as a contact in my phone.
Oh, so see, that's brilliant. I should do that. But I love it because just like text messaging, it saves all of your texts. And so if there's ever any question of whether or not you communicated with a parent, and I actually fell into that situation this past week, where a parent said that I had not contacted them, and I was able to pull up my phone and open up my Google Voice, and there were all the texts. And so I was able to say, yeah, I have. So it's Google Voice is a beautiful thing. In my district, I cannot use it with my school email. I have to use
Right.
it with my personal email. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like that everywhere. Is that how yours is too?
It's the same way for me. Another thing that I really like to use for communicating is Canvas. I actually can email my students in Canvas. And so I was telling Sam how last week I had like 5 kids that didn't do a single assignment and turn a single assignment in. And so I was able to send an email to all my students with a 0 on X assignment. And I was able to, in that assignment, just say, I see you turned nothing in last week. Can I find out what's going on? Why are we not getting things turned in? What can I do to better support you? Ironically, one kid responded out of the 5, which is even, shows even more what we're dealing with right now in pandemic times. But now if the other 4 kids' parents come back, I can say, well, here's where I emailed your kids and they never responded back to me. And in the high school setting, I take the mentality, like I've mentioned earlier, I'm trying to prepare my students to be college and career ready. And mom and dad aren't going to be there when they're in college. Mom and dad aren't going to be there when they're having jobs. So I don't necessarily reach out to the parents unless they reach out to me first, but I do reach out to the students via email, to give them that onus of their own education, because by high school they should be taking responsibility and leadership of their education.
Yes. And I have encountered this situation where I've contacted like a parent and they've said to me, look, I work during the day and my child is with this caregiver. Let me give you the caregiver's phone number. That way, if something happens during the day, if he's not coming to meetings or whatever, you can contact her and get up with her a whole lot quicker than you will with me. And so that has worked out beautifully too. Next thing, listen to student feedback, even silent feedback, because it says stuff too. If there are a bunch of students who aren't completing a particular assignment or a particular style of assignment, try to figure out why. It could be that the tool that you've included or the video that you've included in that assignment is broken. It's not working anymore. The link is dead. It might be that it's just too hard. If they're coming back and saying, I don't understand how to do this, that might be a time for you to kind of refocus and say, okay, in the classroom setting, when I'm there, this is not a problem, but I'm not there because they're at home and I'm at school. And it might be something that they just can't manage on their own. They may need that to be an assignment that happens at school. Repeatedly express to your students that you are there to help them, and if they have trouble, they can ask for help. Every Zoom meeting that I end with my kids, I always say, does anybody have any questions about what you're going to do today? Have you looked at it? Does it look like it's working? Because if it's not, you tell Miss Rouse right now, and I will go in there and try to fix it for you, or I'll try to help you with it. I say, and I know the kids probably get tired of hearing me say it, but you have to let them know that, yes, I know this is hard. And yes, I know this is different, but I'm here to support you. And if something isn't working for kids, change it. Even if it's an assignment that you have been doing for 20 years. This is not a normal school year. This pandemic time is not a normal school year. And it may just be that you can't do that assignment the way you've always done it. If it's not working, change it, because if it's not working for them, they're not going to do it anyway. So what does it matter if you change it? Jen, did I lose you?
Nope, I'm here.
Oh, I thought you were frozen. You got so still. I was like, oh no, she's frozen.
I have a sleeping baby.
Oh, good. All right. Check in with students. This is huge. The social emotional learning that we typically do in the classroom without even thinking about it is not happening because the kids are not with us like they were. This can be through morning meeting, which we're going to cover next week. It can be a weekly Google Meet or a Zoom call. You just host a meeting. Before my boys went back to school, their homeroom teachers had a check-in meeting every morning, and they didn't have an agenda. They didn't have something that had to be taught. It was just like 15 minutes of how you doing? How are things going? Are you having trouble with any of your assignments? Or it can be when they come to you for face-to-face instruction, if you're on a hybrid model. When they come in, spend some time on that first day back. Okay, what did you get done last week? Did you have problems with anything? Were you able to get this done? Give them time to check in with you, tell you what's working and what they're having problems with. If it's something like they can't do an assignment because they don't have glue at home or they don't have crayons, this is the time that they can open up and tell you that. Test drive, yet another thing, another hill I will die on. I cannot think of an LMS that I have used, and a lot of educational apps have the option to see what it is like for students. Canvas has it. Google Classroom has a version, a way you can do it. Seesaw has a way you can do it. Um, if the LMS is new to you, like Canvas was for so many people this year, or you're trying something new, you're embedding a video for the first time, you've never done that, take the time to see how it's going to look for students before you publish it, before you assign it. Take a few minutes as a sample student and try to make sure that it works. Because if it doesn't work, they will drive you crazy telling you through emails, through messages, Miss Rouse, this doesn't work. This video is not working. And then you'll spend like all this time answering phone calls and answering emails when a 5-minute check of if something was going to work would have solved your problem to start with.
And another idea that I really try to encourage is if you're working with somebody, maybe they're your EduSoulmate and they're not necessarily in the same curriculum as you, have them put them into your computer as a student, like in your LMS as a student, you be in theirs, and that way you guys can cross check each other and see what's going on to help solve problems if there happen to be problems.
I have a demo class in my LMS that I test stuff out on, and sometimes I even will assign things in there and like make videos from that demo class for my kids to show them how they would do it as a student. So that's, that's just an option. Next tip, don't try to do all the things. If you are a type A overachiever teacher like myself, you don't have to do all the things.
And even if you are a new, what was the term we heard this earlier this week? The it wasn't technologically challenged.
Oh, I can't think of what it was either, but I remember what you're talking about in that meeting that we were in.
Instead of being an English as a second language, it was a foreign technical learner or something like that.
Yes, a foreign technical learner. If you are a foreign technical learner, you don't have to use all the tech tools that everybody else is using. You don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
We, as the EduSoulmates, are giving you permission to not do all the things. I know a couple of our followers have expressed interest in Jamboard, and I myself am interested in Jamboard, and I have seen it on Facebook, and I have seen the glorious Jen Jones cover it on Facebook, but I have not explored it yet because I just don't have the time right now. Like, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I would love to know more about Jamboard, and I have plans to explore it more, but I don't have to do it right now. It's okay. What I have is working. Your students and your stakeholders will appreciate consistency. Yep. And yes, other people may be doing super cute stuff, but you don't have to do the super cute stuff too.
Or if you want to do the super cute stuff, reach out to them and say, hey, can I borrow your super cute stuff?
Exactly. You do not have to be the creator of all the things. You just don't. And it's okay. All right. And the last thing we wanted to share was hold space. If students are 100% remote or they're not seeing one another or you frequently, allow time for them to just share and talk. Not curriculum related, not work or assignment related. Let them talk about their lives. Let them talk about what's going on for them. I have a little boy who's learning how to ride a bike, and like almost every day he comes in and he's like, Miss Rouse, I rode even further today on my bike than I did the day before. And I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. These are the interactions that they're used to having with us in the classroom. And now they can't have them in person with us, but they still need to have those interactions with us and with each other.
Even in the hybrid model, I'm trying to encourage that, that during the 2 hours I have my kids per week, that they have that interaction, because even in high school, these kids need that social emotional piece. They need to be able to talk to their friends. And I know that in their English class and in their math class and in their science class, they're not necessarily going to have that opportunity. And so while I'm career and technical ed and I will, my class matters, um,
Yes.
and we are often treated like redhead stepchildren. Um, but I will die on the hill that these kids also need, even if it's the last 5 minutes of class,
Mhm.
the last 5 minutes of class, and come up with um, a round robin topic that they get to talk about, or do a quick little exit game where they have to get up and go tell somebody something good that happened in their week.
Yeah.
Do something to allow them to still have that social emotional piece if you are hybrid, because those 2 hours a week make a huge difference.
I keep a sticky note on my desk during my lessons, during my guided reading groups, during my math lessons, because inevitably, because they are first graders, someone will raise their hand and say, Mr. House, Mr. House, I got to tell you something. And it's like they have a wiggly tooth. And it's not really related to what I'm teaching. And I'll go, is it an emergency? And they're, no, it's just something I want to tell you. Okay, I'm going to write your name down. And when we're done, before everybody leaves, you can share it with everybody. And I've let them before we leave. I'm like, okay, so this person had something they wanted to share with us. What was it? And it's usually something really small, like I have a wiggly tooth, or I'm going to grandma's later, or something, but it still gives them that chance. And then, of course, when one of them says they have a wiggly tooth, everybody else who has a wiggly tooth then has to share as well. So you can still make time for content and allow kids to share, share their lives like they would if they were with us all the time. Um, we are the EduSoulmates, and we want to remind you to be sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel. We post something every week, usually on Saturdays, unless our lives get too crazy. We are also on Facebook, and there is the URL. And we enjoy doing this. We love doing this. We do have some upcoming big things happening. The Real Conference is coming up on October 28th.
I think so. Yeah.
Next week, next Saturday session will be all about morning meeting and making connection. So if you are an elementary teacher, make sure you watch that. The week after that, we are going to be talking all things fun in honor of Halloween. It will be a spooktacular Saturday session, and we may even wear costumes. You never can tell. And then after that, we will be doing a session on SchoolNet, which I personally believe is one of the best ways to prep students for standardized testing. It is, I mean, the questions are so similar to state test. The way that they're worded, the way that they're set up. I used to write items for state testing, and they are, I mean, on point for what the way they teach you to write questions for state test. So we will see you on Saturday, hopefully. Have a great week. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself, taking time for yourself, and have a fabulous day. Bye.
Bye.